Greetings, Internet. My name is Chris, and this is my guide for a PvP Dragonknight build. In some ways, it's kind of similar to my, to my PvE build I put out a while ago, because it uses Zaan and it uses Elfbane. But the thing is, Zaan and Elfbane are just really, really powerful, and even in the next update, it won't really get nerfed, because the only thing they're doing is they're reducing the range of Zaan to 8 meters instead of 10 meters, which still makes it really powerful. So the reason why Elfbane and Zaan are very powerful together is because this increases the duration of any flame damage ability, with a few exceptions, which that includes Zaan. So it goes from doing maybe like 25k to a player to like 40k. It like the last 2 seconds, because of the way that this Zaan beam scales, the last 2 seconds basically double the damage that it does. And then we run spinners alongside it, which, you know, that on top of it makes it even stronger. So the weapons that I'm using are a restoration staff, also of Elfbane, and an inferno staff. The inferno staff can be kind of hard to get a hold of, as you can see both of them are infused. The inferno staff can be kind of hard to get a hold of. I mean, so can the restoration staff, but the inferno staff is worth, I think, between 100 to 200k, depending on who's buying it. So it can be kind of hard to get it unless you're trying to buy it yourself with AP, and I'll show you where you can get it. If you go to Cyrodiil, so you can see this is the Cyrodiil map, there's this little city down here called Blasterus, and in Blasterus, in this little part right here, I think either it's here or it's here, it might be here, but in Blasterus there's a vendor who sells these crates for 12k AP, and you can check your AP under your currency, alliance points. So he sells them for 12k, and each box has a chance of having any piece of Elfbane in there. I have noticed that staves and bows are extremely rare to get from these crates, like way more rare than any other item. So it is kind of hard to get them. I've gotten a total of 2 fire staffs myself. This is one I bought from a friend of mine, but the 2 I got was from probably spending 5 to 600,000 AP, so it's kind of rough. But yeah, that's how you get it. Obviously, if you have a lot of gold, you can buy it from other players. The jewelry is really cheap, and you can see I've transmuted all of them to arcane. It comes as healthy, which, you know, a lot of health isn't a bad thing in PvP, but you want the resources more than you want the health. You can see I've enchanted spell damage and then 2 Magicka cost reduction. Everything else is Magicka except for the chest piece and the helmet, where I've put stamina. Thing is, in CP I have 13k stamina. In non-CP I've got about 11, I think. You get 5k more health, so you end up at about 20k health. You get a little bit less Magicka as well in non-CP. This again is set up for battlegrounds. You can see Magicka, I've got 54 points and 10 in stamina. Stamina is really important, especially when you're on a Magicka build, because if you can't break free from something, that basically means you're dead. You can also see we've got the Lover Mundus stone, and we've got Witch Mothers. So we get, you know, not an amazing amount of Magicka recovery, but a decent amount. And penetration, we get quite a good amount as well. This is obviously with CP, but we're using Elemental Drain, which puts us at about 15k in non-CP PvP. So we get quite a lot of penetration. We get the super powerful setup with Zaan and Elfbane, and that's about it. That's like the majority of the damage will come from Zaan most of the time. But You can still obviously kill people with your normal setup. You don't have to rely on Zaan. Zaan is just very, very powerful. Kind of a gimmicky thing, but at the same time, it's like, you know, with everyone running slows and running Dawnbreaker, spin to win builds, you know, you kind of gotta just take what's good and use it, I think. And this is definitely very, very good. So for our main bar with the fire staff, we've got Flame Lash. The reason why we have Lash is because of the second thing it says. It says, if you strike an enemy that is immobile or stunned, you set them off balance. And then it says, targeting an off-balance enemy changes this ability into a power lash, allowing you to lash an enemy with a more intense flame for 8,000 flame damage, stun them for 2 seconds, and heal you for 12k over 2 seconds. And this effect can occur every 3 seconds. This goes off all the fucking time. It's really, really good. It's more damage and it's a heal over time. Then we have Burning Embers. This is a damage over time that also heals you when it ends. And if you want, you can extend it by constantly reapplying it, or you can end it maturely by, you know, hitting before it runs out. So it's a very versatile heal as well. There's some times where it has saved me by healing me basically like 80% of my health just because it ran off while I was stunned. So that will happen a few times as well. Then we have Engulfing Flames, and the reason why we're running this is not only is it a pretty good, you know, cone ability. It's really nice if you're trying to kill someone who's running away from you and stealthing. But it also increases damage from fire attacks, which includes Zaan, by 10%, which is really, really strong. And then you have Fossilize, and Fossilize is probably the best CC in the game, I think. Like, a lot of people complain about Rune Cage because it has a long range, but Fossilize not only instantly stuns, Rune Cage has sort of like a pseudo cast time that you can interrupt. It also it also sets them up for you hitting them with Lash, and when the stun ends, if they break free or whatever, they are immobilized for 3 seconds. It's really, really good. It can be blocked or it can't be dodged. So it's good against anyone. And the thing is, they made a change recently where you can tell when someone is not possible to affect with this. So you can't actually use it unless the enemy no longer has CC immunity. Which means you can basically use this to tell whenever someone's off CC, and you can use it again immediately. And then we run Elemental Drain. So this has two purposes. First, it's a lot of spell penetration, like 5k, Major Breach, really strong. But it also gives you Minor Magic Steal, which gives you 300 magic back every 1 second, or for every second that you damage someone. So you hit someone who has this on you, you get 300 magic back. And then we have Ferocious Leap. It doesn't do a shit ton of damage on a Magicka build. It can still hit pretty hard, but usually never see it go higher than 8k. But the reason why this is a good one is because it gives you a magic shield that absorbs 100% of your health for 6 seconds. So basically you get double health after using this. I mean, it's halved in PvP, but at the same time, it's still really strong. And then we run, on the healing bar, we run Volatile Armor. We have this morph because it applies a dot to anyone it hits. 8,000 magic damage over 10 seconds. And it's also a way to, hit someone who's in stealth. And it's a lot of resistances. You can see with it on, we get about 20k spell resistance, a little under 15k physical. It's obviously a little bit lower in CP. And then we've got Green Dragon Blood. I don't use this too much, but there are some times where it's pretty necessary. Green Dragon Blood is definitely the better of the two morphs. It scales with your missing health, whereas the other one scales with your missing Magicka, I think. Which is kind of pointless. It also gives you stamina recovery and health recovery, increased by 20% and increased healing received by 8. So pretty good. Then we have degeneration, and the reason why I use this is because it's a major sorcery, well, a way to proc major sorcery basically. So 20% increased spell damage. You can see our spell damage isn't amazing. Obviously with 20% more, it's about 2k, which is a decent amount. It's pretty hard to stack a lot of spell damage on a Magicka build. You almost want to go for more Magicka than spell damage, to be honest. Like compared to a stamina build anyway. But what it also does, it also gives you health returned every time you hit someone with a light or heavy attack that is targeted with this. And it also heals you. So yeah, it's a pretty nice thing to have. It's pretty cheap, like it costs 900 Magicka. Obviously that's with 2 cost reductions. But yeah, so you put this on someone, you get a buff to your damage, and you get health returned with every light or heavy attack. Pretty strong. And then we have Healing Ward, which you should just have Healing Ward. It's a really good heal. It's both a shield and it's, you know, a strong heal when it ends. The only thing is, sometimes you'll be in situations and you'll try to heal yourself with this, but it keeps going to one of your friends. If that happens, you obviously want to swap to Green Dragon Blood. That's the only thing that's kind of bad about this heal, is that you can't always control who it goes to. And then lastly we have Reflective Plate. The reason why we run Reflective Plate is because it removes all snare effects. So someone keeps slowing you, you just keep using it. You can keep running basically if you just keep spamming it. And it's not that expensive either. And then as the ultimate here we have Life Giver, which is a morph of the Panacea from the Resto. And that's about it. You can see I have all the passives here except Absorb. Although saying that, I should probably get Absorb. I do block quite a lot with this. Obviously you don't have a lot of stamina to actually block with, but it's still good to do sometimes, you know. Instead of just taking everything to the face. You also might be wondering why I'm not using talents. And the reason why I'm not using talents is because with my ping, which is usually around 200 to 300, you'd see it's 200 right now. With my ping, whenever I try to hit someone with talents that's running away, it just never applies. So it's kind of pointless for me to use. And I found that I can survive a lot more with volatile armor. Another thing I didn't mention is that when someone hits you with an attack, it reflects damage to them. It says direct damage, but it seems to be most attacks for some reason. But yeah, so that's a pretty good thing as well. So it's both offensive and defensive. And that's about it for the skills and the gear. And you can see it's all impenetrable except for my helmet. You can see I've done 1 heavy shoulder and 1 medium helmet, and then the rest light. I am still missing 1 point into the Undaunted Metal, but that would give me, you know, 6% increased health, magic, and stam, which is pretty good. I just still need to do more PvE grinding, which I haven't done. Let's see what else. Obviously I'm not going to show you champion points because this is set up for non-CP. I think that's pretty much it for all the skills. I do kind of want to show a few videos here at the end. Just, you know, showing the setup in action. And I might even do a montage because I have quite a lot of good clips. You can see I don't actually have a point in Trifocus. I don't actually heavy attack that much. The reason why I don't have a point in this is because the original setup was an ice staff and a sword and shield. And then if you don't put points in this, your blocking doesn't actually consume Magicka. That was a playstyle that the person who showed me this setup was using, but I just can't really figure it out, and I'm not very good at being super defensive on a light build. So mine is more like a glass cannon setup, to be honest. But yeah, the guy who showed me this, Purple Power, I think I might have mentioned him in the description on the PvE Dragonknight setup as well, because he was the one who taught me about Zaan and Elfbane, way before Somerset came out. And then obviously because you could then retrade jewelry, that became an incredibly good setup as well. But yeah, that's about it. That's pretty much all for the gear and setup and so on. So I'm just gonna show you a few clips here at the end. Anyway, thanks for watching.